Shesha Sunyavadi Paschata Dasatharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama Hare Rama
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Krishna book, right? I'm getting Chaitanya thing. Okay, please go ahead. Share Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, okay.
This is what happens when you take multiple classes, not too many. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Is it visible, Mataji?
Yes.
Chapter 76.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Yeah, you all can start.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, chapter 76, the battle of between Salva and members of the Yadu dynasty. While Sukadev Goswami was narrating various activities of Lord Krishna and playing the role of an ordinary human being, he also narrated the history of the battle between the dynasty of Yadu and a demon of the name Salva, who had managed to possess a wonderful airship named Sobha. King Salva was a great friend of Shishupal's. When Shishupal went to marry Rukmini, Salva was one of the members of the bridegroom's party. In the fight between the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty and the kings of opposite side, Salva was defeated by the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty. But despite his defeat, he made a promise before all the kings that he would in the future ride the whole world and of all the members of the Yadu dynasties. Since his defeat in the fight during the marriage of Rukmini, he had maintained within himself an unforgettable envy of Lord Krishna, and he was in fact a fool because he had promised to kill Krishna. Usually, such foolish demons take shelter of a demigod like Lord Shiva to execute their ulterior plans, and so, in order to get strength, Salva took refuge at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. He underwent a severe type of austerities, during which he would eat no more than a handful of ashes daily. Lord Shiva, the husband of Parvati, is generally very merciful, and he is very quickly satisfied if someone undertakes severe austerities to please him. So, after continued austerities by Salva for 1 year, Lord Shiva became pleased with him and asked him to beg for the fulfillment of his desire. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So what happens is all of them, whose intent is wrong, right? They'll end up doing prayers for Shiva. Why? Because Shiva only focuses on the austerities, right? Because he's very soft-hearted. Whereas Vishnu is it's like the father and the mother, the parents actually won't care, right? They are very strict about their children, but they will never try and correct, the other child. Why? Because their children, you may have different reasons. You may tell that your child is your responsibility or your child is permanently with you. The other child is not your piece of cake, all of that. But, you should be very sensitive when it comes to all this, right? So why I'm telling you is, so Salva did severe austerity for a year and Shiva got pleased. And what he does, we're going to see further. Yes, Pu Mataji, please go ahead and read. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Salva begged from Lord Shiva the gift of an airplane which would be so strong that it could not be destroyed by any demigod, human beings, Gandharva or Naga, or even any Rakshasa. Moreover, he desired that the airplane be able to fly anywhere and everywhere. He would like to pilot it and be specifically very dangerous and fearful to the dynasty of the Yadus. Lord Shiva immediately agreed to give him the benediction, and Salva took the help of the demon Maya to manufacture this iron. Airplanes which was so strong and formidable that could crush it. It was a very big,
machine.
like a weak city, and it could fly so high and that it was almost impossible to see. So there was no question of attacking it. It appeared to be almost covered with darkness. Yet the pilot could fly it anywhere and everywhere. Having acquired such a wonderful airplanes. Salva flew it to the to city of Dwarka because his main purpose of obtaining the airplane was to attack the city of Yadus, toward whom he maintained a constant feeling of animosity. Salva thus attacked the city of Dwarka from the sky, and he also surrounded the city with a large number of infinity. The soldiers on the surface attacked the beautiful spot of the city. They began to destroy the nice park, the city gates, the palace, and skyscraper houses, the high walls around the city, and the beautiful spots where people would gather for recreation. While the soldiers attacked on the surface, the airplane began to drop big slabs of stone, trees, trunk, thunderbolt positions, snakes, and many other dangerous things. Salvo also managed to create such a strong whirlwind within the city and city that all of Dwarka become dark because of the dust that covered the sky. The airplanes occupied the by Salva put the entire city of Dwarka into distress equal to that caused on the earth long ago by the disturbing activities of Tripura. The inhabitant of Dwarka Puri becomes so harassed that they were not peaceful for even a moment. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for both of you to read. So basically, there is always a thing. Do you ask prayers for to the Lord? Yes, you can. No, but the most important thing anybody prays should be for their betterment, right? It should not be for destruction of someone. Can you imagine how poisonous somebody will be to do so many austerities and pray for destruction of somebody else? And that is the mentality of Salva. Salva is so envious that he is praying, going through a lot of austerity. So we are talking about not only mode of goodness doing austerity, not only mode of passion doing austerity, we also see him in the mode of ignorance doing austerity, and his intention is to destroy. For that, he is requested, he's got a strategy for destruction. Right? He has an aeroplane and he's telling that let the aeroplane pass, should be so huge and should be so powerful that it can go anywhere. So this is in continuation with the previous story where we are talking about when what happened exactly in Dwaraka, right? So that is what is being pitched. Yes, Lakshmi Mataji, you can read. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna everyone.
Hare Krishna.
The great heroes of Dwarka city, headed by commanders such as Pradyumna, counterattacked the soldiers and airplane of Shalva. When he saw the extreme distress of the citizens, Pratyumna immediately arranged his soldiers and personally got upon the chariot, encouraging the citizens by assuring safety. Following his command, many warriors like Satyaki, Charu, Charudeshna, and Samba, all young brothers of Pratyumna, as well as Akrura, Tavarma, Bhanuvidya, Gada, Shuka, and Sarana, all came out of the city to fight with Shalva. All of them were Maharathis, great warriors able to fight with thousands of men. All were fully equipped with necessary weapons and assisted by hundreds and thousands of charioteers, elephants, horses, and infantry soldiers. Fierce fighting began between the two parties, exactly like that formerly carried on between the demigods and the demons. The fighting was severe, and whoever observed the fierce nature of the fight felt his bodily hair stand on it. Shall I read one more, Mandachi?
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, ma. Continue one more. So basically, Pradyumna, why we are talking about under the leadership is Pradyumna was the commander general for the army, and Samba was his younger brother. And there's a huge, Krishna had 16,000 wives. Each of them had 10 children. So you can imagine, 16,000 into 10, which is like, 1.6 lakh children he had, right? So all of them were younger to Pradyumna, and they were all assembled, and he had really taken care of the situation because Krishna was not present at the moment. And this is the greatest of the leader because you see Pradyumna gets onto his chariot. Unlike today, we see all leaders sitting inside the parliament and taking command or giving command. We see great leaders on the battlefield with the horses, with their guards equipped, and they always fronted. They never were actually at the back, right? So that shows the leadership, right? Anything hits, it hits the leader first. Please go ahead.
Pradyumna immediately counteracted the mystic demonstration occasioned by the airplane of Shalva, the king of Sauba. By the mystic power of the airplane, Shalva had created a darkness as dense as night, but Pratyumna all of a sudden appeared like the rising sun. As with the rising of the sun, the darkness of night is immediately dissipated. With the appearance of Pratyumna, the power exhibited by Shalva became null and void. Each of Pradyumna's arrows had a golden feather at the end, and the shaft was fitted with a sharp iron head. By releasing 25 such arrows, Pradyumna severely injured Shalva's commander in chief. He then released another 100 arrows towards the body of Shalva. After this, he pierced each and every soldier by releasing one arrow. He killed the chariot drivers by firing 10 arrows at each one of them, and he killed the carriers like the horses and elephants by releasing 3 arrows directed towards each one. When everyone present on the battlefield saw this wonderful feat of Pratyumna's, the great fighters on both sides praised his acts of chivalry. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. So they're talking about how he strategized and how the plane also was it was very huge. It was lost like a city. They could throw slabs, everything, and he was also trying to counterattack. So let's see what Salva continues.
Hare Krishna Mataji, may I read next?
Yeah, please go ahead, Aishi.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhamma Pranam. But still the airplane occupied by Salva was very mysterious. It was so extraordinary that sometimes many airplanes would appear to be in the sky, and sometimes there were apparently none. Sometimes the plane was visible and sometimes not visible, and the warriors of the Yadu dynasty were puzzled about the whereabouts of the peculiar airplane. Sometimes they would see the airplane on the ground, sometimes flying in the sky, sometimes resting on the peak of a hill, and sometimes floating on the water. The wonderful airplane flew in the sky like a whirling firebrand. It was not steady even for a moment, but despite the mysterious maneuvering of the airplane, the commanders and soldiers of the Yadu dynasty would immediately rush towards Salva wherever he was present with his airplane and soldiers. The arrows released by the dynasty of the Yadus were as brilliant as the sun and as dangerous as the tongue of serpent. All the soldiers fighting on behalf of Salva soon became distressed by the incessant release of arrows upon them by the heroes of the Yadu dynasty, and Salva himself became unconscious from the attack of these arrows. The soldiers fighting on behalf of Salva were also very strong, and the release of their arrows also harassed the heroes of the Yadu dynasty. But still, the Yadus were so strong and determined that they did not move from their strategic position. The heroes of the Yadu dynasty were determined either to die on the battlefield or to gain victory. They were confident that if they died in the fighting, they would attain a heavenly planet, and if they came out victorious, they'd enjoy the world. The name of Salva's commander-in-chief was Tuman. He was very powerful, and although beaten by 25 of Pradyumna's arrows, he suddenly attacked Pradyumna with his fierce club and struck him strongly that Pradyumna became unconscious. Immediately there was a roaring, "Now he is dead, now he is dead." The force of the club on Pradyumna's chest was very severe, and it appears as though his chest had been torn asunder. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So basically, you should remember two things. Bad, good, both are fighting. And Yadu dynasty were not normal people, they were all devatas, right? So who are the Yadu dynasty people? They were all demigods. And Pradyumna is, do you remember who Pradyumna is? Does anyone know who?
Son Mataji.
Whose son? No, Krishna's son is right, but among the demigod, who is Pradyumna? He is Kamadev, right? Cupid.
Cupid Mataji.
So we know how powerful Cupid by himself is, right? So he can actually mesmerize all of us. So is Cupid. So now we'll go ahead and read further. Please read. Because now the injury is become so hard that he faints, right? So people think he is dead. Yes, Revati Mataji, go ahead. Hare
Hare Krishna Mataji. Pradyumna's chariot was being driven by a son of Pakru. What is it?
Aruka.
Daruka. According to the military principles, the chariot deliver and it here that the on the chariot during the fighting as much because
Mataji, I think you're jumping lines actually. According to the Vedic military principle, the chariot driver and the hero on the chariot must cooperate during fighting.
As such, because it was a duty of the chariot driven care of the hero on the chariot during the dangerous and precarious Daruka and son removed Pradyumna from the battlefield 2 hours later, and in the place Pradyumna regained consciousness, and when he saw that he was either that the battlefield, the state, he addressed the charioteer and condemned. And the most abdominal act, why have you removed me from the from here? I have never heard that any of our family members or in the battlefield, none of them left the battlefield while this removal you have overburdened me with a great defamation. It is said that I left the battlefield while fighting was going on. My dear, however, I must accuse you. You are a coward and emasculator. Tell me how the before my uncle Balarama and my father Krishna, and that I shall what shall I say to them? Everyone will talk about me and say that I fled from the fighting, and that if about this, what will be my reply? My sister-in-law and will play jokes upon me and sarcastic words. My dear hero, how have been become such a coward? How have you become a eunuch? How have you become low in the eyes of the fighters who opposed you? I think, my dear charioteer, we have committed a great offense by removing me from the battlefield. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So very, very clearly, what happens is, charioteer. So what is happening is Pradyumna is fighting, right? He is in the thing. And the speciality of charioteer is he's also equally intelligent and powerful, right? So he immediately kidnaps him. And for 2 hours, he's unconscious. But once he regains conscious, he's just thinking, what will they think, right? They will think it's a cowardly act that I ran off from the kingdom. So he's not able to tolerate how his father, Krishna, and before that, you see, he is talking and paying respects to Balram, who's his father's brother. How would he think, right? So he's not able to digest the fact at all. So now we'll hear Charita's reply. We'll continue this tomorrow. How many paragraphs are there? I'm sure another 5, 6. Oh, no, it's over. Okay, let's hear. Who's going to complete this? Hare Krishna. Who has not read? All of you have read, I guess, right?
Yes, Mataji. Mataji,
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
The charioteer of Pradyumna replied, my dear sir, I wish a long life for you. I think that I did nothing wrong, for it is the duty of the charioteer to help the fighter in the chariot when he is in a precarious condition. My dear sir, you are completely competent in the battlefield, but it is the duty of the charioteer and the warrior to protect each other in a precarious condition. I was completely aware of the regulative principle of fighting, and I did my duty. The enemy of all of a sudden struck you with his club so severely that you lost consciousness. You were in a dangerous position, surrounded by your enemies. Therefore, I was obliged to act as I did. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purport of 76th chapter of Krishna, the battle between Salva and members of the Yadu dynasty. Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So very clearly, Krishna is telling that. So let's see what's happening to Salva. We'll stop with this. Thank you so much. Very beautiful chapter we covered. We are always try and see if we can cover one chapter. So what they are talking about is what is the Salva's position, right? Salva is thinking very differently. He's like feeling very morose. He's thinking, okay, what's wrong? I should destroy the Yadu dynasty. And Pradyumna is thinking, boss, I'll die rather than coming, because none of them have actually left. They're all in the battlefield. So there is this emotional tie which he's there, and the Salva is telling, Pradyumna's driver is telling, what did I do? Because this is also dharma. Dharma of the charioteer is to protect, and that's exactly what I did. Yeah, with this we line, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha, Patikanan Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah, Suntukoti Vaishnavji, Ya Prabhupada Jai, Namacharya Haridas Swami Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.